Alright guys, Huke and I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. The LA Thieves guys, after getting locked into that roster for the upcoming season, talking about what happened during this off-season with the potential offer from the Falcons that could have been on the table for many of those players. We know that Cellium ended up there for a serious bag, but aBeZy and Kenny and seemingly Scrappy and HyDra as well all reveal that they could have had serious opportunities on the table this off-season from the Falcons. For various reasons, however, they went in a different direction. But is that only a short-term solution, with the Falcons potentially next year, if Cellium and Pred aren't going anywhere, making some serious moves? And what could their team have been if aBeZy or Kenny actually said, you know what, yes, let's make that happen? Very much enjoyed to your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd really appreciate it. Plenty to get into today. Of course, we do have Call of Duty number 20, as Karma says, coming up relatively soon. Pretty crazy to think about, right? That, yeah, there's been a lot of Call of Duties at this point. Is Black Ops 7 going to be a good one? Time will tell. I will share for you guys in a second what Scump had to say on the state of BO7. Look, I understand why there is, and there is for me as well, some skepticism. I think there are many reasons why Black Ops 7 looks pretty good on paper. Again, as always, the players who have played it say, oh, we're in for a good year, right? Like, I've heard that one before a million times over. I mean, when I heard it about Vanguard and I heard it about Modern Warfare 2, you know that it's cooked, right? You know that it's mentally, like, it's just compromised. These players are compromised. But, look, there are reasons to think BO7 is going to be a good competitive title. At this point, I have no... I've run out of hopium, right? The hopium is gone, so I will just simply take what it is. I do understand, though, that some people have looked at what's happened and said, oh, well, this is going to be bad, this is going to be bad, Battlefield is going to clear and all this. And I understand that perspective. At the end of the day, people complain, people are going to see the cards, maybe they're going to buy the cards. I think all of us are probably going to watch the COD, right? So that is certainly something that Black Ops 7 does have going for it. But let's talk about what happened on this podcast, because there was still lots here to mention that we talked a little bit about earlier on today. But the Falcons were a key player in this off-season, and there were big rumours for a time that they were looking to get seriously involved with this Thieves project, right? Now, they eventually brought on Cellium, that's been confirmed. As of recording, they've not fully confirmed their whole team, but presumably that's going to happen relatively soon. We know that Pred and Exnid not going anywhere. Cellium has officially joined. Presumably it's Kismet rounding out that team as we understand. But that isn't necessarily the team that they wanted going into this off-season. They wanted to go down a slightly different direction. Now, there's a couple of very interesting things that these guys say, especially with what was happening going into the Esports World Cup, because the Esports World Cup this year was, at the end of the day, important for Falcons. They'd not qualified for the World Championship. It was even our feeling in the community before the season last year even began. The Falcons for the World Cup, that was their important event. And I think we felt it, right? They started the season with the full Saudi project. They gave it a couple of months. It didn't really go to plan. And understandably, at some point they decided, okay, we're going to decide to make some changes, pull the trigger, do a couple of things, and, well, make some substantial moves, as they eventually did. Did it improve the team? Yes. Did it improve the team drastically? Let's be honest, kind of no. Still didn't make the World Championship, of course. Still didn't really get that many victories on the board. But they were moving to some degree in the right direction. And it was my feeling going into last year that around about March, April time, they would decide, okay, we're not looking good for champs, but let's at least build a good team for the World Cup. And the team they built for the World Cup at the end still wasn't that good, because they didn't get the moves done that they seemingly wanted to get done. And that was one of the interesting rumours, that according to some discussions, there was talk about SIB being an option for the Falcons. I'm pretty sure that they went out and they wanted to try and get SIB, right? They looked at getting SIB. They were offering C9 some money to get SIB. That never happens. I don't know, C9 said no or something for some reason, and Falcons didn't get him, so they were effectively stuck with what they had, pretty much, going into the World Championship. They brought in Thieves, of course, but, pretty much it was not going to move the needle all that much for that World Cup team anyway. So speaking of Sib, we think he's now on Gentlemate. There were rumours that Falcons were interested in him, again, in the off-season, which makes sense. At the end of the day, what's kind of remarkable about what we're going to discuss here and what the guys say is that basically everyone was on the radar, right? And maybe that was true for the OpTic guys as well, although probably Falcons thought that that was never going to happen. maybe at some point. But apparently Sib said no, because he was worried that Falcons would bring him in and then next year they would just drop him for scrap, which is, I don't know, strikes me as a bit of a mentality kitten approach, right? Like, you, I don't know, back yourself, right, and take the money. But maybe the money from the Falcons there wasn't anything crazy, and Sib felt like the Gentlemate offer, which we think he's going to go for, made a bit more sense. Talking of Gentlemate, actually, Scrap was discussing the events that have happened recently in France, Fortnite Worlds, I think like Rocket League stuff as well, maybe was down in Nice or Lyon or something, I forget exactly, but there were some things going on anyway, and Scrap was like, yeah, that was pretty wild. JoeDeceives was even out there for one of these. An event in Paris would be great, says HyDra, so not shocked, right, that HyDra thinks that, but yeah, there's some, obviously this Gentlemate's kind of fan account tweeted out here, and there's some talk about whether that event is actually going to happen next year. But it seems all of these guys on the couch were targets for the Falcons. Kenny says that they even wanted him for the World Cup. Maybe after Cloud9 said no for Sib, they looked at getting Kenny. That then fell through for whatever reason, maybe contractual related stuff. Then aBeZy was getting an offer as well, because let's not forget aBeZy was a total free agent and he had a Falcons offer on the table. What I find interesting about the way that Falcons have deployed their money is that we don't know exactly what they're paying Cellium, but the theory has it that they're paying Cellium something like $700,000. Maybe it's $600,000. This is per year, right? Per annum, not the whole contract if it's a 2-length deal or 2-year length deal, whatever. But we think they're paying him a lot of money. The highest salary in the history of the Call of Duty competitive landscape. That is our understanding. Those numbers may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure they're paying him a lot. There's rumours they're paying him a signing bonus as well. It's a lot of money. Now, did they need to pay him that much money? I think that is my genuine question. Maybe they did to make him not join Thieves, because, you know, Thieves were interested in Cellium, him sitting in the spot there of Kenny, but that didn't happen. There were maybe some other reasons why Cellium wasn't so keen to go to Thieves, but also Falcons offered him a crazy amount of money. Now, if they'd have offered Cellium a bit less, would he still have taken it? Possibly, and would that have given them a bit more cash to pay for aBeZy? I don't know, but I just find it interesting that Sib and aBeZy are both saying, Sib hasn't said this publicly, but rumour has it, that Sib's offer from Falcons wasn't quite compelling enough to say yes to, because, look, if he was worried that Falcons would sign him, this being Sib, and then next year they would drop him, that's okay if you're making generational wealth during the season, right? Like, you'll take that for $1 million in the next year, right? So obviously they're not offering that. And same for aBeZy. Like, you would think that despite wanting to play a lot with Thieves and that offer being on the table, if the offer from aBeZy or for aBeZy from Falcons was simply too good to refuse, then he probably would have done it. But that's not happened, right? So that's why aBeZy then says, look, I wanted to go to Thieves despite there being an offer on the table. And Scrap says that, yeah, they were interested in us as well.
No reason to hate on something I haven't played? See, that is an interesting perspective. Because everybody else is like, I mean, people are hating, bro. You saw the reveal trailer. I mean, brother, every single comment was, I just pre-ordered Battlefield. Thank you, guys. Pre-ordering Battlefield right now. The whole comment section. It was like a fucking war in there. But yeah, guys, no, that's, I mean, dude, I'm just talking about, God, people think that, like, we're getting paid. I don't know where this streamer's getting paid all the time for everything shit came in, but dude, I've been playing COD for the past 13 fucking years. Probably longer than that, 15 years, whatever it is. I want the game to be good, man. Obviously. Not even because of, I mean, like, livelihood aside and the stream, we want the game to be good. I mean, we're going to be doing the CDL watch party. Like, you think we want to sit there every single weekend, week in, week out, and the game not be good? Fuck no. We need that shit to be good.
I was just like, bro, I don't know. I got an offer for EWC. I was supposed to play EWC over Falcons, but
no, I did get an offer.
From what I don't know. From what I heard, I mean, they probably wanted everyone on the everyone on the couch, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not me. Yeah, right.
Not me.
Nah, but
I mean,
I don't know. It was definitely a rumor, but I didn't think anything of it.
yeah.
From my head, I was always staying here. I was always trying to build something here. So
I mean, I got like an offer from them, but like obviously I was like, dude, I don't want to. I want to be on Thieves. Like that was like that was where my head was. I'm not gonna lie, but
I
there's
mean,
gonna be a
every
lot of
team
teams.
not being in Dallas.
Wait, Paco, what's your thoughts on Paris?
On Paris?
Yeah.
Was
I mean-
insane with this fool. I walk out, they have a French flag. I'm like, yo, I'm not even French. I feel French out here right now.
Nah. I was like, yo, I'm ready to play.
Oh God.
I'm gassing up them more than you.
Nah, yeah, London would be.
Paris
bang.
event would be God.
Bro, you saw the Fortnite event?
Yeah.
Bro, the COD event. All right. Maybe the city, I don't know. Maybe mid, but the venue or the event
Yeah.
would be insane.
Yeah,
I
sure.
feel like the event would be insane.
That's true.
We remember when 100 Thieves and LA Thieves were in these rumors that Falcons were trying to buy Scrap out. They were willing to go to Thieves and say to Nadeshot, hey, we'll give you $1 million for Scrap. We'll give you $2 million for Scrap. And then the rumor had it that really they weren't probably offering quite that amount of money. But yeah, Scrap says at some point they wanted Ken. They definitely wanted aBeZy. That didn't happen. They wanted the Thieves guys as well. That was a bit more of a long shot, I would imagine, given that they were set up on that franchise. Pretty unlikely that anything was going to change. And as Scrap says, like, I didn't plan to go anywhere. That certainly wasn't on the agenda. And as it turned out, of course, that didn't happen either. But yeah, you do have to wonder what Falcons could have done this off-season, because their team of Pred, Exnid, Cellium and Kismet is interesting and it might be pretty decent, but I don't have massively high expectations for it. The idea of Pred, aBeZy, Exnid and Cellium is, like, I like Kismet, I rate him pretty highly, but I do think this on paper should be an upgrade, right? Because presumably in this scenario, you then put aBeZy and Pred on the subs. Maybe Pred could actually be well suited to a flex role, but he doesn't want to do that. He denied doing it at OpTic last season when they asked him to. So presumably aBeZy and Pred, which again, right, aBeZy Pred, aBeZy HyDra, aBeZy Simp. There are some parallels there in terms of fast aggressive sub, slaying sub would be the on paper way to look at that. But aBeZy and Pred would make some sense, and then Cellium as the main AR, and then Flexnid on the flex doing whatever it takes. And maybe that would be an okay solution, right? The way they're going now with Kismet instead, Kismet apparently on the flex as well, is a little bit questionable. But I think the point for the fans to note is that all of these guys, all of these superstar players on the couch, there was some interest of Falcons to signing them. And yeah, they didn't necessarily get everyone they wanted this off-season, but doesn't mean that they won't try again in the middle of the year or beyond. Cellium said yes, Cellium got the bag. We know that the numbers there look pretty good for him so far in the CDL, and I do not criticize Cellium at all for making the decision that he's made for Falcons. Yeah, there's probably going to be some level of criticism, but you can expect other players to follow Cellium's lead, I would say, in due course. It probably depends to some extent on how this Thieves team gets on this season. This is a pretty crazy series of stats that Brian puts out there. aBeZy can become the first player in COD history to have a Grand Finals appearance in 9 consecutive calendar years. That's kind of important to note because Scump had, like, he was in the finals and won events so many years in a row, but technically he didn't make a finals in the 2019 calendar year. He made a finals at Las Vegas 2019 where they won with OpTic, but that event was actually the first weekend of December 2018. So technically in the 2019 calendar year, Scump was not in a grand finals. If he makes a finals this year, aBeZy will have the record for that for 9 consecutive calendar years, because he was in that finals 2018, that Las Vegas one that I mentioned in that December. Could become the first player in COD history to have the most grand finals appearances in 6 different seasons, only 2 grand finals appearances away from tying Formal, 3 away from tying Clay and Karma. Can join the 3-time world champion club potentially. There are some other players looking to do that this season, not least potentially Shotzzy and Dashy and even Huke on the OpTic side as it stands, looking to join Scump and Kremp as the only 3 players to win a championship in 7 or more titles. Of course, Simp can also do this. So yeah, pretty remarkable, and if you look at things on paper, maybe he well has the team to do it this year. So very much interested to your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.